YouTube, today we're going to go over the Sceptile team I used for Baek battles. Let's get started and roll the episode. So why Sceptile? Sceptile's been a Pokemon I've been working with for quite a while, and I've been trying to figure out the right combination to showcase it. And I thought, okay, I think in this series I can definitely make it work. Screech is one of my favorite support moves. I loved using it on some very odd Pokemon like Riolu back in the day. And I thought, you know, Sceptile with the Unburden, with the multiple support moves that it has in Bulldoze and Screech, which could make some really great follow-ups for Pokemon such as like Solgaleo, for instance, or the Ho-oh that I eventually ended up choosing. I thought it had some great support roles, and I really wanted to showcase it this time. So how was the team formed? Well, it started off with Sceptile, my idea of the Unburden set with a seed variant, so I knew I needed some kind of terrain user to follow up with the Screech on Sceptile. I knew I was going to use some kind of form of support Sceptile, and my ideas were involving Tapu Lele or Tapu Koko. I wasn't a big fan of Tapu Fini because physical Tapu Fini is still a little bit weak, and I didn't really enjoy having double grass type, so decided, you know what, I'm going to run either Tapu Lele or Tapu Koko. I've used Tapu Koko in the past, and the physical variant, even though it's pretty interesting, it still kind of underperforms, I feel like. So I ended up choosing the Tapu Lele with the Psyshock. It could catch some players off guard, and the Screech Psyshock combination was pretty threatening. Next Pokemon, I thought about the restricted, and I was planning on using Solgaleo, but I feel like I've showcased Solgaleo a lot, and I want to try something a little bit different. I felt like I was a bit weak to Shadow Rider Calyrex. I felt like I was a bit weak to Zacian. I felt like I was also a little bit weak to Sun teams like the Venusaur and the Charizard that could threat to me. So I felt like, you know what, Ho-oh I think can cover that basis. Even though I can't activate the weakness policy on the Ho-oh, I feel like, you know what, with the Bulldoze, at least I am immune to the speed drop, and I could take advantage with the Ho-oh and outspeed a lot of things you might not expect Ho-oh to outspeed in the first place. So that is what was my plan here. Then I was looking through some inspiration through my old Series 8 teams that I used, and I felt like I had this combination of Pheromosa plus Dragapult, and I felt like, ooh, that could actually make a lot of sense here. When using Sceptile, I knew I wanted Bulldoze. I felt like, you know what, I can abuse it with Ho-oh, but I might as well just have another option as well, since I think it will make it more versatile. And I felt like, ooh, Dragapult can abuse the Screech from Sceptile, and Dragapult is a really strong Pokemon. It's really fast, and with the Airstream boost, can go absolutely insane. So I felt like, ooh, this could be a really good combination. I also like Pheromosa because of the fact that it can also do a lot of damage, especially with Sceptile Screech. Close combat becomes a really big threat, and Pheromosa can support my other Pokemon such as the Ho-oh and the Dragapult with coaching, which I felt like was a pretty good move to help out on the team in general. Last Pokemon, I decided I'm going to add Glastrier to the team because I had a speed swap original idea with the Pheromosa. I felt like, ooh, it can help with the coaching on Glastrier. I was a little bit weak to Trick Room, and Glastrier under Trick Room is a massive threat, especially if I lead with the coaching strategy off and able to get one. Glastrier would just be a big threat under Trick Room and could threaten a lot of things and take a lot of attacks as well. And that was how the 6 was formed. All right, let's go over the items, the movesets, and the EV spreads of the team. We got Choice Scarf Tapu Lele up first with the Psychic Surge ability with Psyshock, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, and Dazzling Gleam. I really do like Tapu Lele. I think it's a pretty cool support Pokemon with the Psychic Surge, as well as the ability to just dish out a lot of damage, which this team definitely does enjoy. The Choice Scarf allows it to outspeed threats like the Shadow Rider Calyrex, some other Dragapults, etc., and allows it to get some pretty heavy damage right off the bat. It's still slower with the Choice Scarf than Sceptile, so you can still follow up with that Screech Psyshock, which can dish out a lot of damage, which is always appreciated. And yeah, it was the terrain setter for the Sceptile, which was pretty much a big part of my plan here. Psyshock, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam. Pretty standard coverage. You have Psyshock. For the Screech Sceptile setup, you have Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam for the fairy coverage. Really helps out against our Shifu, which is always usually a decent problem. And then Shadow Ball for the Shadow Rider Calyrex. EV spread's very simple. 4 HP, 252 special attack, and 252 speed with a Timid Nature. This always allows me to outspeed a Shadow Rider Calyrex with a Timid Nature, and usually you don't have much bulk on the Tapu Lele. There's no Intimidate on this team, and the only ways I'm able to bulk up Tapu Lele are through coaching on Pheromosa, which I will never go for usually, and Sacred Fire from Ho-oh, but that is very situational, so I might as well just put in the full offense and speed because the bulk really doesn't matter in most situations. Next Pokemon we got is the weakness policy Ho-oh with a Regenerator for the ability with Sacred Fire, Brave Bird, Earthquake, and Protect. I always liked Ho-oh as a Pokemon. I think it is a really strong option, has a really interesting stat distribution, pretty good attack, really good special defense, and I just like Ho-oh. I think it's a cool Pokemon. I've used it since 2016. I really do enjoy using Ho-oh, and I've always wanted to try out a different set than just a bulky recover set that I just generally run. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try out a different Ho-Oh for this team. I'm going to try out the weakness policy set, because if they do try to go for like electro webs to slow me down, for instance, I can take advantage of that with the weakness policy and make Ho-Oh a massive threat. I also really like trying out the idea of a speedy Ho-Oh, especially with the airstream combinations, since I do have Bulldoze Sceptile to help set up the Ho-Oh. And yeah, that's what I really want to try to do. Regenerate is the better ability, of course, allowing you to recover HP if you're taking damage, which is always nice, especially since I don't have recover on this team. Braybird, Sacred Fire are the really strong attacks, of course. Sacred Fire, really strong physical attack, good chance to burn, really solid. Braybird, the strongest flying type coverage that Ho-Oh can get, other than Sky Attack, but not really a great move. Earthquake here, really nice for the coverage. I like having the max quake pressure, and of course the spread damage is pretty nice in general, just for some random stuff. And protect to keep the Ho-Oh around. The EV spread here, we have 228 speed I want to invest first. That gives me a 139 speed stat, which means I can outspeed Regieleki if I am at +2 speed with an airstream, for instance, which I thought was really nice. Since I have the weakness policy and since I'm usually going adamant, I felt like, you know, I have coaching, I don't need all this attack. I'm just going to invest a decent amount of attack to do some good initial damage, and then with the boost I'll still be able to get some really good knockouts. So I went with a 76 Adamant Nature that gives me a +1 to stat point. I still want a Ho-Oh to be bulky, especially with the weakness policy, the Regenerator, so I felt, you know what, I'm going to invest some into HP. I felt like that's pretty nice here. And I ended up going with 188 HP, which I felt like was a pretty good number. It was close to the near max HP, but not so much to where I'm just able to take attacks generally with Ho-Oh, which is always appreciated, and then the rest into defense and special defense. This allowed Ho-Oh to just take a lot of attacks and dish out a lot of damage while being a pretty fast threat, which a lot of players did not expect when I used this Ho-Oh. Next Pokemon we have is the Life Orb Dragapult set with the Clear Body ability with Phantom Force, Dragon Darts, Fly, and Protect. Pretty standard Dragapult. This thing is a king of Generation 8. It really is an outstanding Pokemon. Amazing speed, great ability in Clear Body, preventing Intimidates from affecting it or other max moves from potentially affecting it. And it just really hits hard with the Life Orb. Really good coverage as well. Life Orb, of course, fantastic item on Dragapult. Makes it allow it to get so much damage off with its Dynamax and really does benefit from the coaching as well. The moveset's very standard. It's just a very standard Dragapult. Phantom Force, Dragon Darts, Fly, and Protect, of course. Not much. I had Protect because I just covered with Protect. Of course, I could have ran something else, like maybe a water type move, for instance, that Dragapult does get physically. I could have had a few other coverages, but I just felt like this is a pretty standard set. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I like the move Protect in general, and yeah, I just ended up going with a standard Dragapult set with max attack, max speed, of course, and 4 HP, which is really nice. This allows me to outspeed Adamant, which is why I like Jolly Nature. I could have went with Adamant, but I felt like Jolly was just better in most cases. I do like having the ability to outspeed Adamant comfortably, and that's why I ended up going with Jolly Nature, even though Dragapult mirrors aren't as common in this format, I feel like. Next Pokemon we have is the Psychic Seed Unburden Sceptile with Energy, Bulldoze, Screech, and Protect. Sceptile has had some great support moves, and I really am glad to showcase it because it is a really fun Pokemon to use. We love the Psychic Seed plus Unburden, making Sceptile a really good bulky Pokemon, which is not really known for generally, and the Unburden just increasing its speed absolutely, which is incredible. And I really do like Sceptile compared to the other Unburden users, because usually the other Unburden users have Fake Tears, Acid Spray to lower special defense like Excelgor and Slurpuff, but Sceptile has a fun move with Screech, which hits on the physical side, which a lot of players might not expect, which I really do enjoy. The Bulldoze is really fast for Sceptile. It allows me to outspeed like stuff like Regieleki, which is really impressive. For instance, if I'm facing a Focus Sash Regieleki, which might not be as common now, I could go for a Bulldoze with Sceptile, and I'm next to like Dragapult. Dragapult actually outspeeds the Regieleki, fire off a max move, and goodbye Eleki generally. So I really do like that little bit of attack right there. And yeah, just a really good Sceptile set. I feel like Energy Ball for the coverage. I felt like Grass Knot, even though I could use it against Kyogre, I felt like Energy Ball was just better, and it definitely was better than Grass Knot, even though Grass Knot can get extra damage on Kyogre, which, you know, is really nice. And some other things, I just prefer Energy Ball. It allows me to hit through Gigantamax and Dynamax Pokemons. It did come quite in handy, and it is the strongest grass move. I did consider Leaf Blade at one point, but I felt like since I was having so many physical attackers at the end of the team, I felt like, you know what, I'm going to get intimidated by Incineroar most likely in a lot of cases, and I'm probably just rather move it into special attack anyway. Even though I could go for Screech and then like a Leaf Blade follow-up, I'd rather have the consistency, I felt like. So overall, I really liked Energy Ball. Bulldoze for the Ho-Oh and the Dragapult help setting them up. Screech, of course, for the really big follow-ups, and then Protect to preserve Sceptile on the field as much as possible, because it was a pretty big star in allowing me to get Screech combinations off, so my other Pokemon can do a lot of damage or pick up some knockouts. The EV spread here, a little bit interesting. So I have 76 speed with a Timid Nature. I was deciding on what speed tier I wanted to hit. I felt like, you know what, I'm going to outspeed Modest, Max Speed, Colossal after the Steam Engine. And yes, Sceptile does outspeed that. That's how insane the Unburden is with a base 120 speed. So this Sceptile will always be able to outspeed a Modest Max Speed Colossal after the Steam Engine, and could go for Bulldoze and some other stuff, of course, which is really nice. 236 HP and 68 special defense allows me to live a Life Orb Calyx Shadow Rider's Expanding Force in Psychic Terrain if it is spread, and I felt like that was a pretty cool benchmark. Allows Sceptile to be extremely bulky, allows it to take a lot of special moves as well, which is fantastic. And then the rest, I decided, you know, do I need it all in special attack, or can I invest some into defense? I felt like I might as well just pour some into defense just in case, because I'm not really clicking Energy Ball as much with Sceptile unless I really need to chip. I'm usually going for the support moves anyway. I felt like, you know what, I'm going to invest some into defense, mostly into defense, and then a little bit into special attack just in case I need it. I would have liked a little bit more special attack than the defense, so I would probably move a little bit more from defense into special attack. I feel like, because there were sometimes Energy Ball just a little bit shy of getting the damage I needed, but overall Sceptile was a fantastic Pokemon and really fun to use with the Screech and the Bulldoze, which some players just did not expect from Sceptile, and it ended up really doing some good work with the team. Next Pokemon we got is the Focus Sash Pheromosa with Beast Boost for the ability with Close Combat, Triple Axel, Coaching, and Speed Swap. This thing is absolutely insane and really an underrated Pokemon, I feel like, throughout Gen 8. I feel like this Pokemon is still really strong. I know Urshifu is a really good fighting type, but Pheromosa was a amazing Gen 7 offensive Pokemon. It does so much damage, its speed, its coverage, and they gave it close combat in this generation. What were they thinking? High jump kick made it so you could punish Pheromosa, but close combat, oh boy, this thing became a threat. Of course, Urshifu is still a really strong fighting type, but Pheromosa, oh boy, don't sleep on this Pokemon. This Pokemon does a lot of damage, and it does so much while outspeeding most of your team. I mean, 151 base speed just outspeeds Calyx Shadow Rider, for instance. It is that fast of a Pokemon. So having the Focus Sash in order to allow Pheromosa with its very frail defenses to usually be able to survive one hit, which is really nice, so I can get the Coaching or Speed Swap off generally. And Close Combat, Triple Axel, Coaching, Speed Swap is a pretty common moveset, I feel like, on Pheromosa if you do see it. Close Combat, of course, for the good fighting coverage. Triple Axel, that helps against Landispherian, which is really nice for this team in general. Helps out against a few other common Pokemon that are weak to ice as well. Coaching to help set up the Ho-oh, the Dragapult, and the Glastrier is always nice. And Speed Swap is really nice for the Glastrier, making it a really big threat, especially if it has a Coaching or some boost up. It is going to tear through teams. 4 HP, 252 attack, 252 speed with a Jolly Nature. That's all you really need on this Pheromosa. It is an absolutely insane Pokemon. Max speed, I really like it to outspeed the Calyx Shadow Rider, and then of course max attack, and you're not going to invest the rest in the bulk because this thing doesn't live much, as well as it's a Focus Sash anyway. So yeah, just going with the max attack, max speed is just a good set. And this thing, really strong Pokemon, I feel like, in Generation 8, even though Urshifu has kind of stolen the spotlight as a really good fighting type. Final Pokemon, Glastrier with the Assault Vest, Chilling Neigh for the ability with Icicle Crash, Close Combat, High Horsepower, and Heavy Slam. Pretty standard Glastrier. I mean, I've talked about Glastrier a bunch on the channel already. It is an insane mon with Dynamax. Its ice typing is not amazing, but pure ice with all the stats and the amazing coverage that it gets, fantastic Pokemon, and really threatening. It takes attacks really well, especially with that Assault Vest that I really do like, which allows me to run 4 coverage moves. And yeah, the ability is absolutely insane, of course, allowing it to get an attack boost every time it gets a KO. And its coverage, really nice. Icicle Crash, Close Combat, High Horsepower, Heavy Slam. And High Horsepower, Heavy Slam, really good coverage. Of course, getting the defense boost is really nice alongside the Coaching. Makes this thing really hard to KO, especially with Coaching and Assault Vest combination. And even a Speed Swap, oh boy, look out, because this thing's a big threat. And that's not even my restricted that you have to worry about, but this thing has the stats that are restricted. EV spread, I've talked about this Glastrier before. It's a pretty simple Glastrier. Max HP to make it bulky. 60 special defense, a little bit left over, and 196 attack with a Brave Nature, which gives me a +1 stat point to an already impressive 145 attack stat, which is game boosted by the Coaching from Pheromosa. and of course the attack boost that it can get if it gets knockouts, and of course a little bit into special defense since it's a bit of a weaker stat. And yeah, Glastrier, absolutely insane Pokemon, can just tear through a lot of teams, especially with the coaching. And yes, it is really hard to stop. So how to use the team and what are the common leads with the team? So how you use the team, it's basically a lot about really strong aggression using Screech Sceptile if you can set it up alongside with a Tapu Lele lead, usually just for setting up the Sceptile, making it faster than every single one of my Pokemon, and then supporting the rest with Screech and Bulldoze. Otherwise, you can play pretty straightforward with pure offense, as this team does have a lot of damage dealers. And of course, you can set up with the coaching Pheromosa. Pheromosa is able to be a great support Pokemon, and that coaching can make one of my Pokemon such as Ho-Oh, Dragapult, or Glastrier really threatening and really hard to stop, especially with Airstream boost alongside the attack and defense boost. Makes these Pokemon really hard to KO and dish out a lot of damage, and usually can boost up the speed with either the Airstreams from the Ho-Oh and Dragapult, or I could go for the Glastrier speed swap combination. Common leads, I would say, would usually be Tapu Lele plus Sceptile. Of course, for the Psychic Seed and the Unburden is a really strong option with the Screech Psyshock, which is a great opening. They might not be able to see Sceptile as a big threat right away, so they might target the Lele. And if they do target the Lele, that gives me a switch in to Ho or Dragapult or Pheromosa, which could really go in, especially with the Screech combination. Another common lead I'd say is Pheromosa alongside either Dragapult or Glastrier or Ho-Oh. This is just for the coaching method. Really strong. You can set up the coaching with Pheromosa, as I mentioned before, go for air streams or speed swaps, and really dish out a lot of damage while maintaining your bulk. Another common lead I'd say would be Pheromosa plus Tapu Lele. Pheromosa plus Tapu Lele is a fantastic lead in general. It's just really strong, really good hyper offense. You don't have to Dynamax these Pokemon right away, and it usually just dishes out a lot of damage, and you can set up for a late game of like Dragapult, Glastrier, and maybe even Sceptile combinations, for instance, which is really powerful. And that is how I built the Sceptile team. I hope you all enjoyed the thought process what went behind this team. If you did, please leave a like down below. It really does help out, and leave a comment down below. As always, you can go try out the team. You have for 2 weeks to grab this team before it expires with the rental code on your screen right here. But otherwise, there is a paid spin available in the description. But otherwise, thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day, people. And until we bow again, I'll catch you all later.